I'm gonna do it again, Steph.
Yes.
I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:30. We do have a quorum. We don't have a flag. Steph, you want to take a roll call?
Commissioner Fisher,
Here.
Commissioner Cobain, Commissioner Bennett,
Present.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here.
Commissioner Flowers,
Present.
Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Munoz,
Present.
Commissioner Patel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bice.
Present. Thank you. Momentarily, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Just need to put a digital flag there. Just put a digital
Are
flag
you
there.
comfortable with that?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, on the TV?
Yeah, just put a
Yeah,
digital
that's
one up.
cool.
I was
Good
thinking it
idea,
might be
Steve.
Yeah.
with the flag.
Not my first rodeo.
We stand. Jump. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just said you'll take a moment of silence. You be seated. Thank you.
There's no oral
Is there any oral communication? Approval of the meetings from our June 10th, 2026 meeting.
I move that we accept the meeting, the minutes.
I have a motion. Can you get a second? I'll second, Cecilia. New business, the Youth Science Center presentation by Diana Padilla. Okay, wait, back up, we need to vote. Julie, hang on, you stay right there. All those in favor of accepting the approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion carried. Okay, thank you. We're ready.
You don't have access. Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having me here. My name is Diana Padilla. I am the program director of the Youth Science Center, and I am here to give you a little insight about what the Youth Science Center is about and our upcoming partnership with the City of West Covina. So if I can have the next slide, please. Okay, so here, what the Youth Science Center is about. So we are a nonprofit organization that has been operating for about 60 years or so. And we have been in the Hacienda La Puente area for about 40-some years. And we have been providing after-school programming and summer programming and other types of enrichment programs throughout the San Gabriel Valley and Upper Orange County. And this is just a little about the Youth Science Center and just a very brief introduction introduction about what we do. If I could have the next slide, please. Okay, so our mission is to inform, instruct, and inspire people of all ages and backgrounds to discover the excitement of science and technology through exhibits and programs that promote learning through interaction. So as I mentioned, we do a lot of hands-on science and hands-on technology classes with kids, like I mentioned, in the San Gabriel Valley and upper North Orange County. Next slide, please. Okay, so the types of programs that we have, I kind of already mentioned. We do after-school programs with kids. We do summer science camps with kids. And then we also have in-school programs, so during the school day, we work with the high school students in that program. We also have our Star Lab, which is our inflatable portable planetarium that we take to different locations, and we do astronomy shows with that. And then we also have our online tutoring, where we help kids grades K through 12th grade, typically with homework help, and we do this all online. So these are our programs that we have right now. And if I can have the next slide, please. So our next step. So this is our exciting next steps that we are journeying through together with the City of West Covina. We will be occupying the Nature Center at Gouster Wilderness Park and offering enrichment programs just like the ones I have mentioned for the community in and around the West Covina area. And we are so looking forward to be part of the City of West Covina and being able to have this park and reinvigorating the programming at the Nature Center. And if I could have the next slide, please. Okay, so what we are anticipating doing at the Nature Center, we are anticipating having an after-school programs, okay, where, as I mentioned, we do hands-on science and hands-on technology classes, and typically for about 90-minute lessons with the kids. Next slide, please. Okay, and we also are anticipating to have a summer program at the Nature Center, again, having to do with hands-on science, hands-on technology, and having morning and afternoon classes with the kids. So pretty much we want to continue what we have been doing in the San Gabriel Valley and North Orange County. We want to continue that at the Nature Center. And then next slide, please. And we also want to start new programming with the City of West Covina in order to invite families from the community to do Saturday community events. These will be free Saturday community events that will focus on our Star Lab, our technology attractions, which right now I have slated for things such as 3D printing, our 3D laser and engraving machine, and possibly some robotics. And then also having guest speakers coming on over to the Nature Center and talk a little bit about the botany and the wildlife surrounding Gouster Wilderness Park. And then next slide, please. And that is it for my presentation. It's just a very brief overview of the Science Center and what we have planned to do with the City of West Covina at Gouster Wilderness Park. This is me, Diana, and that is my contact information. And that's about
Thank you,
it.
Ms. Sophia.
Okay.
Does any commissioner have any questions?
I have a question. What time is that you're going to be having the gathering?
So, right now I have slated for like the free Saturday events, usually, if it's the Star Lab show, it will be in the evening, because it's our planetarium, and it just makes sense to have it in the evening. The other ones would probably be more so kind of during in the daytime, probably like about 3 p.m.-ish, something like that.
So how would we know when you're going to have the session?
Yeah, so I have flyers that I am going to create with all of this information and then get it out there. Post it online with the help of the city. Post those flyers online, post them on our social media, get the word out. We also have programming with schools at West Covina Unified. So when we do our programs with those schools, also let those families know as well.
Is there any age?
Yes, definitely. So some of our classes, especially the after-school classes, there is an age limit because we tailor our lessons to the kids. So yes, so some of those classes do have, we limit it to the grade levels. So yes, some of those do. The free Saturday events are for families, any age is welcome. Yes,
It's free for everybody, right?
yes. Uh-huh.
When are you planning for this?
Oh, when are we planning to do this?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, as soon as possible. No, just kidding. Well, we're still working on it with the city of West Covina, but soon. I am hoping to get that in there really, I'm really excited to get going on this. So we are working on this together and we will hopefully get those classes scheduled in there soon.
So just if I may add, we're anticipating the draft agreement to come back, it be vetted out, and then executed. Once that agreement is executed, we will start programming at the Nature Center by this, the goal is to start by this fall, 2026.
I also have another question.
Did you have a
Yeah. I also have another question. Who sponsors you?
So we have a lot of sponsors. Like I said, we have been around for about 60 or so years. So we've developed a lot of relationship with other organizations, foundations. Okay, so and that's how we get sponsored. And also during our summer camp, we offer a summer camp at the Hacienda La Puente Unified School District, where it is a fee-based program, and that also helps us out in order to be able to reach out to the community to offer free events. Yes.
Commissioner Flowers, maybe when you get started, also during the year, you probably reach out to the school district and see if you get some students that may need hours to volunteer to help you.
Yeah, that would
And
be
you know, a lot of
awesome.
these guys, they need to get, you know, they have the robotics program and stuff that they do, that we do in the school district.
Mhm.
Also, you say you have people at home with any subjects that you have, with all subjects, or just mostly science subjects that you have to teach with?
We focus on STEM,
Okay.
and we do a few arts. We sprinkle in the arts in there, especially with the little ones. But yeah, we focus on STEM.
Yeah, and as I see this program, I can see it most of it probably will cater to most of the younger kids.
We cater majority to K through 8th grade,
Okay.
but we do have, one of the programs that I gloss through, we do have programming for high school students. What I am anticipating doing at the Nature Center is focusing on grade levels 5th through 12th grade to do more robust technology classes with those grade levels. So yeah, so I want to expand more to the high school students.
Well, also, we have one of the greatest technology minds right back here, Ms. Margaret Sabori, also, she reach out to him sometime. Also, you know, I've never seen it, I'm on the Board of Education in the city of West Virginia, but maybe I just didn't notice. So now I've never seen it and advertised in our district.
Yeah, no,
I
we've
don't know,
been
we gotta
working
go
with West Covina Unified since 2017. We're not at many schools, but I think we are at like 3 schools. And I did forget the name of a board member whose kids attended our Youth Science Center program.
Well, I look forward to getting one of the flyers and see.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Flowers. Anybody else? Commissioner Bennett?
You mentioned you've been doing this a long time, and I may have missed this, so I apologize if I'm asking a redundant question, but what other locations besides those 3 schools are you operating at? Just a rough idea.
Well, we have schools in Hacienda La Fuente, Diamond Bar, Whittier, Cypress, Fountain Valley, and Roland Heights, and La Habra, and I think that's it.
So is this one of your more, obviously it's not a school, so is this more of a community-based one that you're doing here, since the others are unified school districts? Is this kind of the first community one you're doing, or have you done these as well?
Our summer camps that we have been doing for the past 40-some years, that is very community-based. That one is at Hacienda La Fuente. So yeah, so that one is very community-based. Everyone from the community, anybody from all over the world can attend our program there. And so here at the Nature Center, it's kind of like a mirror of what we were doing in Hacienda La Fuente, but adding more to it. In Hacienda La Fuente, it was only summer programming. Here at the Nature Center, we have the opportunity not to only do summer programming, but also throughout the whole school year. So that's what's very exciting about moving into the Nature Center.
So rough idea, how many participants do you typically see through each, we'll call it session? I'm sure it varies, but just give me an idea.
Wow, including all of our programs?
Just whatever you want to give me as an idea.
Okay, so if we include all of our programs in 1 week, oh gosh.
So you see about 30
About
per?
150 to 200 students per week.
And at one site, is it typically 10, 15, 20, or are we talking 5?
At one site, it's probably on average about 13 kids.
And then the astronomy thing interested me. You guys have a telescope and all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming that there's access to one. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we have an inflatable portable planetarium that we blow up. And, you know, there was a picture of it right here. You saw it. And kids, adults, anyone can go in there. Approximately, anywhere between approximately 15 and 30 people can fit in there, depending on whether they're the little kids or they're adults. And we do astronomy shows. And sometimes we accompany that with hands-on science, hands-on astronomy classes. So here you can see it. And we do hands-on astronomy classes. We have in the past have had our instructors come and we would pull out our telescopes, and our instructors would show the whatever celestial object they could focus on and do that. So we're hoping to do that over again, to continue that.
So would you be focusing that when there's, call it, celestial events happening, if you want to call it that?
Like tonight?
Like tonight, there's a solar eclipse happening in Europe. We came to see it here, you know, just recently. We've been on the dark side of the moon. We had an impact on the moon. I mean, there's other things, meteor showers and
Yeah.
planets aligning, and there's all kinds of stuff. Is there anything that that's gonna be involved around, or are we just
Absolutely.
doing it on a general
We
basis?
definitely want to do that. As we progress, we want to first get, kind of establish ourselves at the nature center first, kind of figure out how things are gonna work out, how much interest there is, getting the word out to the kids and the parents, and then slowly work up to that, definitely.
I will tell you, I think that on the astronomy side of it, some of those events will draw adults as well as kids. I don't know where everyone else stands on the stuff, but I've been to some telescope events in my life, both as a kid as well as a parent and an adult. They're pretty cool, so thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm done, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else?
Last to me, thank you again. If anyone can help out for the schools, please reach out and let me know. I like this idea, and I'd like to see us commissioner receive this and file in our reports.
Okay.
As we go forward.
Great.
So hopefully we do that. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, next up, we're all about to go to school. I would like to welcome Alana Lehman on the Brown Act.
Hello, good evening. My name is Lana Lehman. I'm with Jones Mayor, City Attorney's Office. Let me see if I can get this. From beginning? Yeah. There we go. Hopefully that's what that's. So, very pleased to be here with you all tonight. We're going to be talking about the Brown Act. It is a statutory construct that has been on the books for a long time. Adopted in 1953. It guarantees the public's right to attend and take part in the meetings of all local government bodies. It does apply to your commission. An advisory commission is a legislative body under the Brown Act. It's the same open meeting laws and rules that bind the city council, as well as other commissions of the city, such as the planning commission. And there are three basic, at least for tonight, there are three basic categories of obligations that we'll talk about. One will be posting the agenda and agenda issues. Second will be keeping the meetings open in public and to act only in the public on items that are listed on the agenda. So first we'll start with talking about agenda requirements. Then we'll be talking more about public transparency and keeping deliberations on all items that are within your purview as a commission in the public eye, not having any kind of serial communications or communications on the side behind closed doors that are not in the public eye. And then finally, in addition to transparency, there is also a right of public participation in meetings. Keep the doors open and the microphone available to residents to be able to express themselves, their concerns and their questions directly to you at agendized meetings. So if we know that we need an agenda before we have a meeting, it begs the question of what is a meeting? And there's basically three components to look for. A meeting includes the use of any communication being one. So it's either direct communication or it can be indirect communication through intermediaries. That communication is employed by a majority of the members of the body, what we in common parlance call a quorum. And that communication is used to develop a collective concurrence or collective understanding on city business, more specifically city business that is within the purview of your commission. So basically, or more simply, a meeting for Brown Act purposes qualifies for the Brown Act if city business is discussed or traded between a majority of the commission. That's it. So for you, as you know, as a commission of 10, A quorum is 6 members of the commission. And that minimum number of commissioners must be present to legally conduct business and vote on actions. Also, in most cases, for the 10-person commission, you still require 6 members for a quorum, even if some seats are temporarily vacant. You know, unless we have some other adopted rule or special city policy, which my understanding is that for this commission we do not. I will note that gatherings or meetings subject to the Brown Act also include a majority of decision makers or a majority of commissioners attending a retreat, a study session, a workshop, even if those workshops and retreats are for either long-range goals or long-range planning, discussion of local issues, and team building and group dynamics. So what is not a meeting? It's the inverse of the elements that we talked about. You can feel free to talk about matters that are not city business or that are not commission matters within your commission purview. And the other element, remember we talked about a majority or a quorum. So discussions amongst the minority of the commissioners generally does not trigger the Brown Act. However, we have to be very, very careful about that because when you tend to put 2 people together and they talk about something, it tends to get out to more people, and we will see how that problem develops under the concepts of daisy chain meetings, hub and spoke meetings, what are generally called serial meetings. So a written agenda must be prepared and posted for each meeting of each commission or legislative body. If there's no agenda posted, the general rule means you can't have a meeting. Action or discussion on any item that is not appearing on the agenda is generally prohibited. So the agenda is basically the foundation of every open meeting. It is what turns the gathering into a lawful public meeting because it does tell the public in advance what the body intends to discuss or consider, not to mention take action on. As I mentioned before, if there's no properly posted agenda, there should not be a meeting, with some minor exceptions to that rule. What that means is that the body should not convene, and any action taken would be void, and as well as there should not be any discussion about that action. Action or discussion on any item not appearing on the agenda, let's get past the quorum issue, assume we have a quorum, and there's discussion on an item that is not on the posted agenda is prohibited. I want to note that I said discussion, not just action. It's commonly misunderstood that the Brown Act only applies to taking actions. It applies to having discussions as well. Those discussions should be in the public eye. Agendas, discussions wandering from an agenda item into issues that are not on the agenda, very common. In fact, that's where most of the good faith mistakes happen under the Brown Act. An item comes up under, say, the public communications portion of the agenda or the commissioner reports portion of the agenda, and with those fairly broad categories of agenda items, that discussion, that a comment will drift into a discussion, which will start to drift into deliberation. Even though no action is to be taken, that still is moving into the direction of a Brown Act violation. If there is a discussion, say during commissioner comment period or future agenda item period, and it starts to drift into deliberation amongst multiple commissioners, the right move would be to acknowledge the topic and say, folks, do we want to put this on a future agenda and go ahead and just put that on a future agenda so you can properly and freely discuss it. So for regular meetings, you post the agenda 72 hours ahead of time. There's different types of meetings have different posting requirements. Special meetings, for example, have a shorter agenda posting requirement of only 24 hours. As I understand, this commission engages almost entirely in regular meetings, regular scheduled meetings. So your agenda requirement is that it must be posted 72 hours ahead of time. It has to be posted in a spot that is freely accessible to the public, as we have out here. And it also has to be posted on the website. The agenda has to have a brief description of each item of discussion and each item of action. Just sort of real brief rule of thumb, not a hard and fast rule by any means, usually 20 words or fewer. Around 20 words is about what you see, certainly maybe less, certainly maybe more. And of course, the agenda has to state the meeting time and location, how to request a disability-related accommodation. You guys see all that at the front of your agenda. And then writings that are shared with the majority of the body also should be made publicly available. So if you have a speaker that comes in and provides a document during public comment to the commission, that document is also qualifies as a public record, and it should generally be made available to the public so they can inspect it as well at the meeting. So what happens if you fail to fully post the agenda? And I've been in situations before where the agenda gets posted outside the chambers, but it doesn't get posted to the website. General rule, can't have a meeting. It's not a full and proper posting. There can be some exceptions where the proper posting of the agenda was foreclosed by circumstances that were outside of the city's control. There's not a hard and fast rule about this, but for example, if you timely post the agenda on the website and the internet goes down for a few hours, the night before the meeting, you probably can move forward with the meeting. It was just a couple of hours that the internet was down, and it wasn't the city's fault for that happening. It wasn't an issue within the city's control. By contrast, if the agenda does not get posted on the website purely because staff is running late or they're delayed with other issues, or something comes up at the last minute and they're deliberating whether or not they really want to put it on the agenda or not, and it gets posted late or does not get posted at all on the website, they forgot to post it on the website, those are circumstances that were within the city's control and the meeting should not convene. So, and I apologize, and I realize it's a bit difficult to read. So what happens if something is not on the agenda? Well, we know you can't act on it. The body may not take action on any item that was not listed on the posted agenda. The agenda is what lets the public know in advance to what may be decided, and they show up to weigh in. What you can do for issues that are not posted on the agenda is that you can briefly respond to a public comment. The key there is briefly. You can briefly, again, ask staff to investigate it, turn it over to staff, ask them to report back, or ask them for a brief clarification of an issue or a brief status on the issue. Refer the matter to staff in the committee, or refer them to the public, to staff, or to the appropriate staff member or body for them to address their concerns. And of course, you can always place it on a future agenda if it's something that's going to require that. You absolutely may not vote or direct a decision on the item. You may not reach a collective commitment or a consensus on the item. You shouldn't poll people. You shouldn't poll the commission about what they think about a non-agenda item. You should not be discussing it at length. There are, again, there's some exceptions to the rule. There is an exception under Government Code Section 54954.2, which allows an emergency addition to an agenda if there are several findings made. One of the findings is that it is an urgent issue, urgent meaning that action must be taken at that meeting, right now. It is not something that can wait until the next meeting. And it also has to be an issue that came up after the agenda was posted. So this is reserved for times when you post the agenda and within that 72-hour window until the meeting, something comes up and it needs immediate action. And then even then, to add it to the agenda, you need to get a 2/3 vote of the entire body in order to get them to agree to add that to the agenda. It doesn't happen terribly often at commissions. It does, it can. It probably happens more often in council meetings, but you should not expect that that is something that can be invoked at any meeting. So let's be aware. Even though this slide says you can't act on it, I'd actually go even a little bit further than in saying that if it's not on the agenda, not only may not act on it, you really shouldn't even be discussing it in any detail amongst each other. My sort of rule of thumb is that if one person says something and the second one chimes in, maybe we're okay. Third one chimes in, okay, kind of may perk up a little bit of caution. You start to get 3 or 4 people chiming in and discussing it at the meetings. Staff may, or the chair would step in and say, folks, maybe we should consider putting this on a future agenda. It's not on the next agenda, something along those lines. Collective briefings, I don't have it in the slide here, but this used to be something we did a lot. We used to have meetings, pre-meetings, meetings before the meetings, where say the city manager or the department director would bring in commissioners or council members, depending on the meeting, and would brief them. One way, just tell them, tonight we have this on the meeting. We have received this comment, and give them maybe some instruction. It was supposed to be a one-way communication. The city manager or the staff member, whoever is providing the briefing, would tell them at the beginning, don't talk to me about it, we're not going to discuss it, we're not going to decide, you just sit there silently and I'm going to give you a briefing. And the thought at the time, and this was a few decades ago that you used to see this, the thought at the time was that, well, if it's a one-way communication and they're just getting the information and there's no discussion and there's no deliberation, it should be fine. It is not. The Attorney General has later clarified that collective briefings are not allowed. So even the idea of a quorum sitting in the room together, passively receiving the same information, even that is considered a Brown Act violation. So it does not need to be the type of active participation, active action, and active discussion that you would normally think of as an obvious Brown Act violation. So knowing that the agenda controls what you can discuss in the meeting chambers, next we're going to start moving into how discussions outside the meeting chambers may violate the Brown Act. Remember the rules that a quorum of your commission cannot share ideas on city business within your commission purview outside of the agendized meeting. So having direct conversations amongst the quorum outside of formal meeting time are obvious Brown Act violations, but there are more subtle iterations of this violation. You know, serial, daisy chain, or hub and spoke communications create the same violation, and they can be a little less obvious. So the daisy chain serial meetings that are prohibited is, it's basically a game of telephone. Member A calls member B, and they talk about, they talk about an issue that's coming up on the agenda, or even if it's not coming up on the agenda, it's an issue of city business that's within the commission's purview. Then B calls C and has the same conversation. Then C calls D, and so on until you hit your quorum, and at that point, boom, you have a Brown Act violation. The serial meetings like this, or daisy chain meetings, and also the hub and spoke meetings, which we'll talk about next, are sort of the hardest rule to internalize, because at every single little discrete step, it really feels harmless. You never have more than two people having a conversation at the same time. No two of these members were ever in the room together, but no meeting was ever noticed, and yet somehow, through this game of telephone, a majority has managed to deliberate, has managed to get a collective understanding of what each other think. That is unlawful. That is an unlawful serial meeting. It's a violation of Government Code Section 54952.2B1. It does not matter if it happens by phone, by email, by text, through a staff member, or any other third party or device acting as a go-between these various members. Emails are the worst at this because of the forward. One person forwards one email, the next one forwards it, the next one forwards it, or the worst of all, the reply to all. Whenever we're dealing with city business, I would avoid the reply to all button when you're responding to an email. And I also would like to note that if we look at this daisy chain here, just this example, liability attaches to the whole chain, not just the last link. So if we extended this ABCD to E and F to reach your quorum, the violation does not attach just to count Commissioner F or Commissioner E. It attaches to everybody who's involved in the series. So I mentioned hub and spoke. Next we're going to look at the hub and spoke variant. This is where a staff or a chair, a staff member or a chair or some individual sort of sits at the middle of a series of communications, and communications are passed through that hub. So you have, quite often, it can be somebody like a city manager or a director or other staff member who does administration for your commission. Calls Commissioner John, discusses a matter coming before the commission to get his opinion. Then calls Commissioner Susan, and then each of the other commissioners, and shares with these various commissioners as one person at the center of all of the discussions what the others have said. That is a Brown Act violation, because a majority of the commissioners have now indirectly discussed a topic of their business without any public notice, without an actual meeting. Now these illustrations, both the daisy chain and the hub and spoke serial meeting illustrations, they may seem pretty obvious in the context of either telephone conversations or like person-to-person discussions. But when we start moving those same concepts into the realm of emails and social media in particular, that's where Brown Act violations become a little bit murkier. And also we have a lot less guidance in the law on them. Here we go. So it's on social media. It's an old law. The law hasn't caught up to the technology. There's been a lot of amendments to the Brown Act, but not a lot of guidance is developed yet with respect to how the Brown Act and how these discussion restrictions and rules would apply to things like social media. But what we do know is that the same ideas that deal with person-to-person communications or email communications also apply to things like social media. You know, what is a communication is considered to be very broad. And take, you know, if we take Facebook, for example, you can consider users on Facebook may write comments on photos, status updates, or walls. They can send private messages directly, similar to email. They can also click a like button on comments, pictures, or other communications. And of course, they can share a post, or they can share another user's post. All of those actions are a form of communication. In fact, there's even a federal case that specifically deliberated and held that Facebook likes are expressive communication. You know, as such, you know, Facebook itself, or whatever social media platform you use, is a communication mediator, sort of similar to that staff member sitting at the center of the hub and spoke type of scenario. And any of those actions, the commenting, the likes, the shares, have the potential to become serial communications in violation of the Brown Act. So just posited a few Facebook scenarios, you know, possible scenarios here, and I am not a social media user, just so you know. But what if one commissioner comments on a Facebook post about an upcoming, we'll keep it simple, just say it's an upcoming agenda item, and a commissioner comments on a Facebook post about it. Is that okay? Not okay? Thoughts? Okay?
It's only one comment.
That's right, it's only one comment. Now, another commissioner comes in, adds a comment to the same post. Still okay, but you're starting to see how the ball is rolling towards people commenting. And also, I said it, I don't know social media, but I think Facebook will tell other people, like automatically, is this right? That so-and-so posted on your post, or so-and-so posted on this post. And
It doesn't have to.
so it almost invites more people to put input on the same
Depends on how
post.
your privacy is set up.
Okay. That might be an interesting protection then to keep on your Facebook page, aside from the general idea of avoiding city business on Facebook or other platforms. Your privacy settings might be something that could be used to try to stay away from that commenting, liking, comment, share ball really to start rolling. Okay, a little bit of trick question. What if another commissioner comments that there was a mistake about the meeting time and location? Are you guys even available on that date? And send it to the whole group. Is that okay? You're gonna say yes? It's just because I said it was a trick question.
Because I did it today.
It is okay. There is a narrow exception in the Brown Act for discussions about just calendaring, setting your calendar time. I mean, y'all need to be able to discuss, and as well as discuss with staff when you're available and when you can have a meeting. So,
Because that's about the calendar, it's not about the agenda.
You're not providing,
not about
you're
the
not
matter.
providing a
Yeah.
discussion on a topic or a
It's
direction
not
on an
about the
item.
matter.
and it would be almost impossible to calendar a meeting time for meetings if nobody can talk about what their schedule is. And then but you get the sense Facebook Messenger, same type of questions, it poses the same type of potential Brown Act violation scenarios. So just in terms of best practices, again, I don't have hard and fast rules I can cite to you, but just in terms of best practices, treat your social media interactions like they're in-person interactions. To the extent you can make an analogy to having a conversation face-to-face with, participating in comments and posts in Facebook, that's how you should think about it. Don't really think the law has not developed to a point where it's dealing with it in any different way. Consider your audience, but also consider the subject matter. Try to avoid, I would try to avoid keep city business, even if you feel certain that it's not within the specific purview of this commission. I would be hesitant to, and I would probably never advise somebody to like, oh, well, it's city business, but it's not strictly speaking within the purview of your commission. I wouldn't recommend that, trying to be too hyper-technical with the rules in that way, just because you never know. If you comment on city business and then somebody comes back and it starts to evolve into something that is about something relating to this commission's subject matter, it can happen. Just better safe than sorry on this one. Definitely try to limit your online interactions with other commissioners. And avoid posting, especially posting directly yourself. Avoid posting, responding, and interacting with posts that concern agenda items or issues that are specific to your commission or that meet the issues that your commission may handle in the future. Okay, so bringing in this does intersect a bit with another law that applies to the city generally, even more broadly than the Brown Act, which is the Public Records Act. Your emails, your text, your social media are likely to be public records if they pertain to city business. So somebody may not even be looking for a Brown Act violation. They just want to come in and they want all communications from commissioners relating to the Touch a Truck event. And they can get that. And not only can they get that, if they ask for it, they can get it from your personal devices. Just because you're using Facebook or your emails or texting on your personal phone, it doesn't matter. If it's city business, it is still subject to the Public Records Act. And that you may have to turn that those records over, or print screens or text, or however it is that you can produce the records from your personal device. And as I said, somebody could just be asking for something very innocent. All communications relating to the Touch a Truck event. You provide your emails, your social media, and your text messages, and it turns out that, sure, it's about Touch a Truck event, but they're also shared amongst more than a quorum or more of the commission. This person who put in the Public Records Act request has also just inadvertently found documentation to show a Brown Act violation.
Can I have a point of clarification? Let's just use your Touch a Truck. That was never brought to this commission. We can talk about that if it's not on this commission's agenda.
Is it something that would be within the purview of the commission?
No.
Okay, then most likely, if it's not within your subject matter jurisdiction, then you're okay. I was just trying to pull an example.
Me too.
So it's a great question. Can we get a list of what falls under our purview and our subject matter so that we know what isn't and what is? Because I believe that is very grayed out these days.
It should, it might be very grayed out. It should be in the adopting or the enacting, the commission's enacting
It
either
is,
policy
it's
or
on the website,
resolution.
what is in our purview.
Probably a good idea to have that at some point.
But I will warn, even if something is not strictly within your purview, like, let's stick with Touch a Truck.
Right.
It's not in your purview, it doesn't come to the commission, you don't approve it, you don't do the setup
We
and all
don't do
that.
anything with it.
But it is a community event. And if you, let's say somebody posts something about Touch a Truck on Facebook, and and one of the commission responds to it, let's say a quorum responds to that discussion.
With a happy face.
And that, number one, I think you have a problem there, even though it's not strictly speaking within your commission purview. but it's too easy for somebody to say, yeah, and you know what, we should use that same array of food trucks for, what's an event you guys do that for you over?
Nothing.
Okay.
Not much.
Not much. But we should use the same array of food trucks for the whatever event it
Let's say
is.
for the Moon Festival.
Okay. For the whatever it is event, that's something that we do have some subject matter jurisdiction over. Well, they've just turned a totally innocent conversation about something that you don't have any subject matter jurisdiction over. It's just become made. It's just been made into a discussion about an event that is within your purview. Yeah?
So, based on that and kind of expanding the question a little bit, let's say the city council has on their agenda a topic about a Trans-Tech, which is our engineering firm's contract. Doesn't come before us in any way, shape, or form. But let's say 4 of us comment on that item, 5 of us, I don't know if 6 takes in this forum. But let's say that we start having a discussion about that again. You're saying it has nothing to do with our agenda, has nothing to do with our purview, but it does affect us as residents of the city, which would never come before us because it's a council decision, a completely council decision. It would never even remotely touch this body. Would that be a Brown Act?
Strictly speaking, probably not if it's strictly confined to something that you could not possibly making a recommendation on.
Okay,
I'm trying to be conservative here,
fair.
but I mean, it's possible for that to even morph into something. So they provide engineering services. Maybe you have something else where engineering services are, relevant, and somehow it morphs into that. It's the same thing with the sitting at the meeting and having a discussion, and something that's not on the agenda morphs into something that's completely not on the agenda. So it's so difficult to control, especially for a group like this where 6 people. You have enough people here to where it could get up to 6 pretty fast when you're starting off with 10 people. But yes, I mean, strictly speaking, you may be fine, but are you going to control the other 5 people and what they're going to do with that comment?
Probably not,
So.
but it's good to know the answer.
Okay. Public participation, anyone can attend your open meetings. You cannot require names, questionnaires, or conditions to attend. We ask them to. We ask people to give their names, like at council meetings, for example.
So the speaker cards,
The speaker card.
they do not have to complete them.
Legally speaking, no, they don't. You could, they could do, and they do, put NA or just, I'm next, but I can't write, or I'm not gonna write, I'm not gonna put my signature. Yeah, you can't require them to. You can't force somebody to write. But we ask, and almost always,
They
that's
comply.
fine, they comply. People may sit in the audience, they may videotape the proceedings, either audio or video. They can sit there and they can quietly hold up a little sign, as long as they're not disturbing, as long as they're not interrupting. If there is a willful interruption, you can, as a chair, and staff can also prod a little reminder. You can say, we're going to call a recess, clear the room, let everything sort of calm down a bit. If it's a really willful disruption, then there may be a need to have assistance for removing the disruptive individuals. That has to be a pretty
I don't think
definite
We don't have that-
disruption.
We do not have that much power.
But the sergeant at arms does have that power to remove that disruptive person.
We don't have
Yes,
sergeant at
yes.
arms. There's no sergeant at arms here.
By the city council, I was a sergeant at arms at the city council in the city of Los Angeles. And we would remove disruptive people from the Brown Act, and we would get personnel
Right,
complaints.
but in this group, we do
No,
not
we
have
don't,
a search
yeah.
of the bodies.
No, I mean, I can't, you probably, your best bet would be, if it ever came up, it won't, that you would have a recess, let's clear the room and let cooler heads, let everybody kind of cool down a little bit.
And the chair has to call for the sergeant at arms. So doesn't she or he?
Depends on what your your local parliamentary procedures,
Yeah.
again, adopted
Oh, yeah.
policies are.
Yeah.
But you generally speaking, under parliamentary rules of procedure, the chair or the mayor is the parliamentarian, the order keeper in charge of running the agenda, and would be the person who would either call for a recess or call for a sergeant of arms if you have them present to, remove
We
disruptions.
saw it all play out a few meetings ago, city council meetings ago. We saw how it all worked.
Yeah.
It was a lesson in that.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I was there.
So, Government Code Section 54957.9 states that you have to attempt to remove the disruption individual first, right? And if you can't mitigate that disruption by removing the one individual who's disrupting, then you can clear the room. That's correct.
You can actually have a recess first.
Right,
You
so
can
you-
call
so
a
you-
recess any point in time.
So that's okay, I get that. But being that it's an open meeting and being that it was an agendized meeting and the meeting has been called to order, it's still a public meeting, so clearing the room has to be for something more of a security and safety situation. Because at that point, you're basically clearing a public room and things can be conducted in that room. The public has a right to know those things. So I understand what you're saying. I would like more clarification on that because as the chair pointed out, this just played out. So.
Only the disrupting individual.
Right, so if the one disrupting individual is removed from a room, I get that. You've mitigated the disruption by removing sergeant at arms or whoever has removed that individual, or the individual voluntarily leaves. But my understanding is you cannot clear a room for just a one individual situation.
No, not for one
Even with a
individual.
even with a recess. Now, if the room gets unruly or there's multiple people and
And
you have
that's
to clear the
happened.
room. I get
Yes.
that. But if that's okay, so can you clarify though, if a member of this body becomes unruly, what is the rule for clearing? Because it's my understanding as well that under that section, that a member of the body that is there, if they become unruly, there is no place that you can clear the room even on a recess, because again, the public has a right to see that.
You can remove an individual
I understand that. If
from the dais or from the,
Right, but you can't clear the room of the public because it's an open meeting. You can't clear the room of the public because a member on the dais or a member on the board of the body, in our case a commission, is being disruptive. I get it if it's the member of the
you
public,
remove one disruptive individual.
but you're still not clearing the room.
You're not clearing the whole room. But you can call a recess whenever you want.
get that.
That's not the same as clearing the room.
I understand it, but you're still remaining in the room on a recess, correct?
Could.
You could.
Should, it's an open meeting. Because if you're the public,
Recess is interesting because one of the biggest violations I ever see during recesses is that everybody, okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
and they all
And
talk.
then, exactly. Not supposed to do that.
Correct. But, and so that's a whole different topic, I get that, that's where you get back to your chain and serial meeting scenario. But my point is, if a member on this body, the commission, is disruptive, let's say that I am disruptive.
No way.
I know, shocking. So let's say that I am disruptive, and I am asked to leave. I can see the fact that if I leave, recess or not, the disruption is mitigated. But if I'm a part of the body, the public should not be kicked out because it is an open meeting, they should be able to witness what takes place in that meeting. Is that not?
For the remainder people that are there carrying on business, and the non-disruptive public always has a right to see the carrying on of
Correct,
of
even under a
business.
recess.
No business should be taking
No,
place under a recess.
no business should be taking place during a recess.
I agree with you 100% that, and thank you. I agree with no business should be taking place, but it's also the right of the public to make sure that they are a witness to the fact that no business is taking place. And I use that because you just brought up that during a recess, it is not uncommon, not proper, but not uncommon, that members of the body can have a discussion in recess, which they should not do. The members of the public should be able to witness that if it's taking place so that we know. That's the whole point of an open meeting law, which is part of the Brown Act overall. That is the overall spirit of the Brown Act, is to allow the public to see what takes place in an open meeting.
That is, right, but that doesn't mean that if you call a recess, everybody gets to stay there because of the recess. Like that.
But it's a narrow exception, would you not agree? Because otherwise, why don't they call a recess, kick people out of the room, and we have no idea what's going on in a closed meeting? It becomes a.
They're not doing, in theory, they're not supposed to be doing business during the recess.
Ma'am, I completely understand in theory, but if the public can't witness it, how do they know?
Well, you have cameras going during recess.
If they're in recess, they're turned off.
Well, I mean, but let's take your same logic and
Okay.
let's extend it to 100% of the time.
Okay?
Does that mean that the public should follow the commissioners all up to their cars to the parking lot?
Absolutely, the meeting's over.
But during a it's the same thing as the recess. During the recess, there's to be no business, there's to be no discussion of the agenda items during the recess.
100% agree with you.
Just like when the meeting is over and adjourned, there's supposed to be no discussion, no continued agenda business after the meeting is adjourned. But we don't have, there's no right of the public to follow the commissioners after their car, after the meeting, to make sure that they're not talking about the meeting after the meeting.
I agree with you 100% on that. That's not my argument. My argument is once a meeting is called to order, a disruption takes place, and the body, the chair of that body, clears a room. If that disruption cannot be mitigated by removing the one disruptor, to clear the room should be under narrow understanding based on the government code that they cannot clear a room unless they have to do it from a standpoint, so I've interpreted it, though they cannot do that unless that clearing of the room is required to maintain order in the meeting.
You're talking about the clearing of the room, not a recess, you're talking about just,
Whether it's
yes,
under
the
recess
clearing
or
of
not.
the room should be the last resort.
I agree
Is
with you.
that, okay?
So if you're in recess or not, you should not be clearing a room, whether it's a member of the dais, the body, or a member of the public, unless you can't mitigate by removing the one person. Would you agree with that? Again, it's a narrow exception.
Wait, can you state that again, because I thought we just had agreed.
So if a body goes into recess or not, and a disruption has taken place, they try to remove the individual, solves the
Correct.
problem.
Correct.
If they go into recess and remove the individual, they still cannot clear a room because it hasn't went beyond that one individual. There is a narrow exception as to when an entire room can be cleared, in recess or not in recess. There's a narrow exception.
Everybody can leave and go anywhere they want once recess is called. Okay, you know what, we're not,
I understand.
I feel like we're talking past each other.
We are, and I don't want to hijack the meeting, but I did have a question, and you, I would like clarification this
Yes.
at some point. Thank you.
So further on the public's right to show up, we already talked about the public
Okay, let me talk, please.
having a right to address the body on both any matter that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the body and also on all items that are on the agenda. You guys do that at the beginning of your meeting with the oral communications portion of the agenda. And it is, which is fine, that's good. There's a reason it's set up that way. Your right as a member of the public to speak on an item that's on the agenda, that has to be exercised before the agenda item comes up. Believe it or not, I've seen situations where they try to have oral communications at the end of the agenda. What's the point of being a member of the public and making a comment if you can't even, if you can't comment before the agenda item is heard? Then in terms of time limits, this probably doesn't come up terribly often for this commission, but generally it was within the duties of the chair to set speaker time limits. You may have, you may have a current speaker time limit of 3 minutes. And that's fine, but if you have, say, and I'm gonna put aside public hearings, because this body doesn't deal with public hearings, we're not gonna talk about them. But just on a general item that, you have a whole bunch of people who are going to speak. That you have 55 people who are gonna speak, 3 minutes each, it's gonna be so long that, as the chair, you have the right to say, you know, we have so many people here to speak on this, we're gonna cut it to 1 minute, we're gonna cut it to 2 minutes in order to save time. That's fine, you can do that, just make sure.
Do you do that at the beginning of, before you allow any speakers?
Preferably, you would be able to do that right up front first. One of the reasons why we get speaker cards, right? So we can get an idea as to how many people we have to speak on an item. But changing, and you can even give somebody a little bit of extra time to wrap up their point. But you really have to be very even-handed on how you provide that, how you provide the time or limit the time. Definitely do not do it based upon viewpoint. And you cannot, you know, obviously you cannot stop somebody, cut them short, or give them less time than other people have had because they're, you know, criticizing the city officials or policies. So consequences of Brown Act violations, that I mentioned criminal exposure before. Usually these are, usually they are actions brought by the Attorney General. You don't see them terribly often. There's also a possibility of civil enforcement. If you are found liable under civil enforcement, one of the penalties is you may have to pay the attorney's fees of the person who brought the action, assuming that they're successful. One of the oft overlooked, but most common and probably definitely most immediate consequences is that any actions that are taken, you know, following Brown Act violations, the actions themselves are voided. So basically, you have to start over, but you don't even need a court to. You don't even need court action to do that. Under the Brown Act, a member of the public, if they know of a Brown Act violation, can put in a cure and correct letter, and the city has to correct the violation. If that means that there were Brown Act violations leading up to, say, a council action on a certain approval, and a cure and correct letter is received, the fact is that the city council probably would, how are they going to cure and correct it? Well, they're going to have to do it over again. They're going to have to do a do-over. It's pretty ironic because, you know, quite often why do officials or even staff push through and push past Brown Act violations or turn a blind eye towards Brown Act violations? Usually it's to save time. You know, usually it's, they may not get something on the agenda, they try to slip it in without going through the proper procedures or without going through the proper, you know, emergency addition to an agenda because they want to get something done quickly. And it's ironic because, you know, if it's a Brown Act, if that's a Brown Act violation and you have to do it over again, you actually didn't save a bit of time anyway. You ended up spending more time using the Brown, trying to get it done faster than you did if you had just done it right in the first place. So just a very quick checklist. What we went through was the agenda being posted 72 hours ahead for your regular meetings, with a brief description of each item. Act and discuss only on items listed on the posted agenda. Offer public comment on the agenda items and on matters within the commission jurisdiction at the beginning of the meeting. You guys do that, that's good. Apply speaking time limits evenly, never discriminate or restrict a certain viewpoint or criticism. Keep your deliberations inside the meeting. Don't, no serial emails or texts or social media amongst a quorum of the commissioners. And just a real quick reminder, because it comes up more often than commissions and some of the other issues, if somebody brings in a document and gives the commission a document, make sure you have a copy of it available for the public to look at as well, and, you know, maybe give it to the city clerk, because it's probably gonna be a public record, so. I think, and that's it.
Do any commissioners have any further questions? Commissioner?
I got a couple, so I apologize. I won't go back to the third room. You talked about oral communication. How late can oral communication, let's say they turn in a card, how late can those oral communication cards be submitted?
Depends on your local rules. Depends on your local policy.
Okay, so what restrictions?
Brown
can they
Act
have?
doesn't even say you have to have cards. That's something that the cities
Okay,
make.
so how late can a person who's wanting to do oral communication, how late can they ask to be a part of oral communication?
Are you
When does oral communication get ended?
I mean, for commission, right, Steve?
Sure.
So
In general.
our oral communication happens at the very beginning of the
Correct.
meeting. So, I would say if anybody is able to submit a card while oral communication is still happening, we will gladly accept that card. Once oral communication has ended,
Concluded, right.
then we're
Yeah.
going to continue on with the meeting, and there will be no more oral communication cards accepted at that time.
Right.
And like public hearings, for example, generally, and I think this is the case here as well, you can accept cards for hearing communications from the public up until the time that the hearing is closed. Similar to the oral communication.
would that be
Once
the-
it's closed, you don't go back to.
Would that be the same for regular oral communication, though, that you could submit speaker cards or request to speak as part of oral communication until oral communication is closed?
Again, we're asking for commission meeting, correct?
We're asking in general, I just want to
So
understand
for
the
the
Brown Act.
commission, for
The
this
Brown Act doesn't
body,
have that level of detail.
so for this body and for this training, for the commissioners around the table, if anyone comes in and submits an oral communication card, we will accept oral communication cards until oral communication is ended. Once we have moved on with the agenda, we will not receive any oral communication cards. Next
Thank you,
question.
Susie.
You're welcome.
So as for ad hoc and subcommittees, are they required to notice those with agenda items?
Ad hoc committees?
Yeah, subcommittees
No.
and ad hocs,
No.
they're not required to be noticed?
As long as it's a real ad hoc committee.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, and this actually gets missed quite often, so an ad hoc committee, for those of you that don't know, is when you take a group of people who are less than a quorum, so less than a majority of the body, and you have them designated to discuss a discrete, specific issue, and kind of work it out, and then they come and they bring the item back to the full body later. That's fine, because you have less than a quorum discussing it, but that group can become a Brown Act body if, number one, it has to be a specific discrete topic, and two, it has to be a short-term body. If that ad hoc committee lasts for more than like a year, it's gonna be what's considered a standing committee, and the Brown Act may be applied to them.
Okay, so let's take like a CBDG type thing, that's a standing committee in every city or every place, falls under our purview, that would be something that would have to be noticed, correct?
Is not within your purview.
CBDG is our purview.
Is your purview,
Right, so
okay.
that would be something that would have to be noticed, correct?
It's wait a minute, it's a long-term body.
Correct.
If it's a long-term standing committee, it should be Brown Act subject.
Okay.
Yes, but the committee changes.
The people change, but the committee
But the
stays.
committee, it has a persistent long-term
Right.
topic of,
The members change, but
Yes, members
Sure.
change.
well, your members change.
Yes.
Planning commission's members change, yeah.
okay, so, and I only have one or two more. Sorry. Want to make sure I understand this, I don't want to break any laws. So let's say that, like, we just had the nature center here, she was really nice, gave a presentation. Are we allowed to actually change her program from our seat? Are we allowed to request changes and actually negotiate with her to set that program up from our seats? Or is that done by staff prior to the meeting?
Well, the action that was The action that was recommended was to receive and file the report,
I get that.
okay? If you were to say, well, you know what, I don't, in addition to receiving and filing the report, I think we should, like, negotiate right now this upcoming use of the Star Lab at this specific event, and, you know, negotiate a contract with them right here and now. I would say no. I would say that's a problem, because the report, the agenda didn't tell the public that possible negotiation and direction in Ray's Star Lab appearance at the, why would I put that fucking line?
It just happened.
Because it just
You
happened.
just had it, yeah. At the whatever event.
Sure.
They don't know. They were just expecting you guys to get a receive and file report. They didn't know you were gonna direct this Star Lab thing to be at the, so I would say that that's a problem.
Okay.
It might be a recommendation that we request for the list of the seasonal classes and special events be brought forth before the commission for, again, for presentation and receive and file, so you guys know what's coming up in the future, rather than hearing about it, you know, right when it's going to happen. That's an option.
And again, I was just using that as an example, not because I wanted to do that.
Next question?
Thank you.
So, when you have a body of 10 like this, sometimes what'll happen is I might lean over here to Commissioner Diaz and whisper something in his ear as what would be a side topic, if you mentioned earlier. Being that we're a minority in this, we're not a part of the quorum, we can have a quick little comment back and forth quietly, correct?
Yeah,
And have a simple, quick.
and you see it happen.
Absolutely, you do, between council members, between board members, between you name it. But I could lean over to Commissioner Diaz and give him something, and because we're not a quorum, we can have that discussion.
But if you
correct?
leans over to Jen and Jen
That, I
leans
agree with
over,
you there.
that's
It
a
depends on
problem.
how far that game of
Yeah.
telephone goes. I agree with you completely.
And I've actually seen I've seen that happen, and I've seen, actually, it was the mayor, it was a council meeting, say, would you guys like to share with the group what everybody's talking about? And just, can we please keep these communications open? It could happen.
Great, so real quick, I wrote tons of notes while I'm sitting here. Are they public records?
Yes.
So anything I write right now as my questions or things that I want to remember to ask you is public record.
I don't know what you're writing.
I understand that.
I mean, you're
but
not
I am
writing,
writing
you're
it
writing
while I'm
down,
at it.
if you're writing down your medical history, then I'm not, first of all, I'm not gonna get into the public records, because that's a whole
I get that.
kit and caboodle.
Okay.
But, I mean, there's,
I mean,
Huge numbers of exemptions
I have
to the public
questions that I'm
records.
asking you verbally, so I don't know that it's that big a deal in this case, but what if I've written something else? Is it something that I have to turn over to the city clerk's office or to this body?
you don't have
put
to turn it
into
over to
public
the city clerk's
record?
office.
And lastly, you mentioned ADA accommodations submitted. What's the approval process for that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by.
So it says on there that we have to, somebody has to call within 48 hours before and all of that request.
I'm sure that would go through your HR or your ADA compliance office.
Okay.
Any other questions besides
Thank you,
Mr.
Steve.
Bennett?
I believe I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody
Thank
have
you.
any other? Thank you, moving forward. Thank you very much, Lana. Okay,
Next.
the next, item number 4, Cameron Park Youth Basketball Program, Susie. What do you have for
Good
us?
evening, everyone. So, the recommendation is that the Community and Senior Services Commission receive and file the following report. A little bit of background: back on June 10th, the Community and Senior Services Commission meeting, staff reported that personnel at the Cameron Community Center had been working to develop a revised summer youth basketball program scheduled for 2026. Staff provided the following updates. Recreation staffing has been secured for the summer youth basketball season. Staff is scheduling a meeting with volunteer coaches to discuss coach availability and program implementation. 2 program models are being evaluated, a 5-week season format and a traditional 8-week season format. The final program model will be determined based on volunteer coach availability, and both program options include practices, games, tournament play, picture day, and an end of season
registration for the summer youth basketball program is scheduled to begin on June 15th, and the estimated cost to operate the program for one season is approximately $18,000. At the end of that presentation, the Community and Senior Services Commission requested an additional update regarding the outcome of the decision made from the coaches and city staff, because that meeting was happening at the same time that we were having our commission meeting. So tonight, I do bring back an update for you, which is that staff at the Cameron Community Center is pleased to share that the summer 2026 youth basketball program reached 148 registered participants, resulting in the formation of 13 teams across multiple age divisions. Based on the volunteer coach meeting, the program has been structured as a 5-week season, followed by a tournament weekend on August 8th and 9th, which just passed this past weekend. And staff contacted parents to provide team placement information, practice schedules, and additional program details in preparation for the start of the season. Preparations were handled for the first week of practices to ensure facilities, equipment, team rosters, and operational logistics were in place for a smooth and successful program. And Team Picture Day was scheduled for July 25th, providing participants and families with a commemorative opportunity during the season. And the program actually will conclude this Friday with an end-of-season celebration at the Cameron Community Center. That is Friday, August 14th, from 6 to 8 p.m., recognizing all participants, volunteer coaches, and families while celebrating the accomplishments of the 2026 summer season. So again, that is this Friday. All of you commissioners are welcome to attend from 6 to 8 at Cameron Community Center. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. I am glad that we worked this out. It meant a lot to a lot of children in the city. Do I have any questions?
But Commissioner Flowers.
Ms. Michael Flowers?
Thank you. And thank you to the city for doing what you're doing. We all requested and we all wanted this, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody else have questions? Thank you. Please start on the report. Next on our agenda is the presentation of the proposed Parks and Recreation Master Plan by Roxanne and Christine. Welcome. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you guys an overview tonight. I'm going to do this in 2 parts. The first part, we are going to review just the methodology, where we've come from, where we are now, a little bit of the presentation from Monday night. As you're aware, there was a workshop Monday night, not all of our commissioners could be in attendance. Following that first portion of the presentation, we're going to talk more about specific projects for phase 1. We're going to highlight projects that the commission is going to be involved in, as well as funding sources that have been identified as phase 1. Again, these at the time are recommendations until the final recommendations go to council for approval. I'm going to turn it over to Kristen and social again.
Thank you. I have one question before we start. How many were in attendance Monday night?
33 sign-ins, and there was about 5 or 6 staff members there as well.
Did you say 33?
Sign-ins, yeah, and then 5 or 6 staff members. And there may have been a couple we didn't capture, but not more than 2 or 3.
A couple.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there were 3 members, if I'm not mistaken, of the commission that were present. Commissioner Bennett was present. Who else was present? Charlie was present.
And Gail.
And Gail was present.
The floor is yours, ma'am.
Hi everyone, good to see you again. I'm Kristen from RJM Design Group as project manager for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And tonight's presentation will highlight this community-driven roadmap for the future of parks, recreation, facilities, and programs for the city. The purpose of the master plan is to provide a guide and an implementation tool to help manage, enhance, and expand the parks, recreation facilities, and programs. It's built around local community needs and provides clear, data-driven recommendations. Our process was very thorough. We started with an inventory of all the parks, programs, and facilities, as well as taking stock of the existing conditions, and moved on to the extensive community engagement, where we made sure to listen carefully to what the residents value most. From there, we conducted a needs assessment and developed actionable recommendations and funding strategies. This timeline shows the flow of the project, from early research and data collection to community outreach, analysis, and now sharing the findings and recommendations with you this evening. Understanding who we serve is essential. The community profile looks at population trends, age demographics, and other key elements that shape how we plan for recreation and open space in West Covina. We inventoried every park and facility. We went out and visited each park and took a GIS inventory of all the amenities in each park. This gave us a clear, complete picture of what assets the city has and how they're distributed across the city. We also looked at the city's programming, and it's incredibly diverse, from everything from arts, dance, music, senior services, sports, and special events. This range really highlights how Parks and Recreation touches every corner of the community. We did a service area gap analysis, as well as looking at the parkland acres and also the open space acreage, and we found 72% of residents live within a 15-minute walk distance to a park. We also use GIS mapping analysis to, as I said, look at the service gap, the walking distance from parks. We use cellular data to see where people were coming from to visit your parks. And it's really a regional influence here on your parks, people coming from all over the place. And then we also mapped where we heard the community needs, and this map is showing just for sample where people wanted the restroom improvements, and we did that for each of the recommendations.
You can't read this map.
I know, I think they're pretty small, some of them. A major strength of our plan was the level of public input. We held stakeholder interviews, 3 public workshops, as well as the online workshops, a statistically valid survey, and we kept the project website open for comments 24/7, and they're still open today. The community's voice shaped every part of this plan. We saw excellent participation. This level of engagement shows residents deeply care about their parks. This slide is showing the distribution of all the surveys. We collected with a multimodal survey, each of the workshop surveys and the website feedback survey. And we're really happy to see that the distribution was citywide and not just concentrated on one area.
I'm taking it
Sure.
that the orange is the.
Those are the data points
Okay.
of where the people live that took the survey. Roxanne asked me to go into a little more detail of the multimodal statistically valid survey. And that was representative of 400 households, which is statistically valid with a 5% error margin, and represented over 1,200 people because we ask about each person in each household, how they recreate, how the kids recreate, how the head of the household recreates, if they have grandparents living with them, what they do. So it really captures the whole community. And as you can see too, we like to make sure we get every neighborhood, every area of the city to really look at that as representative of the whole community. This is just a snapshot of all the, I know it's too small to read, but we've gone over the results of each workshop in previous presentations, and if you're interested in looking at that data again, you could go on the website and look at the workshop videos, have all that information too. But we looked at all of the data collected, and then we list everything we heard and where we heard it. And next slide, please. So we have, this is our community needs assessment. And we have 3 modes here. The blue is the small group stakeholder interviews. The yellow are the public workshops, 1, 2, and 3, and the feedback comments. And then the statistically valid survey in the green. And then on the left, we list everything we heard, and then where we heard it. And if it came up in all 3 of the modes, we call those frequent needs. If it came up in 2 of the modes, they're apparent needs. If they only came up in 1 of the modes, it's an identified need. And this is how we have to start somewhere. So all of these needs, which I'll read to you in a minute, are important and are our recommendations, but like I said, we have to start somewhere. So we look at those frequent needs identified as these are the things we're gonna try to tackle first. If you do the next slide, and I'll read everything. If I have you come up here so I could see it. And this is for programs, and we did the same for parks and facilities. And so the frequent needs that came up were community events, fitness, exercise, and wellness classes, senior programs and activities, and youth programs. And I realize senior programs and youth programs are very general, but that's what people said. They just said that generalization. So these are everything we heard as priorities in each of the outreach events, and we have art classes and programs, community events, fitness, exercise, and wellness classes, senior programs, youth programs, marketing of programs, equestrian programs, fundraising for programs, graffiti removal, homeless prevention program, bar classes, events, and programs, multi-generational program, music and dance classes, park ranger or police patrol, special needs programs or adaptive recreation, adult enrichment class, adult sports, affordable classes, baseball league, cultural activities, environmental education, girls softball league, language class, martial arts class, partnerships to increase programs offered, pickleball class or tournament, programs distributed equally across the city, teen and youth adult activities, volunteer opportunities, and walking activities or a walking club. And I actually have another handout I could hand out because this was small, and this is one of the exhibits that we had Monday night displayed. This is a list of all the program and facilities in alphabetical order, so it's this list but in alphabetical order.
It might be a little easier to read.
And it is also in small font.
A little easier.
Not as small as the screen.
Love your glasses.
Yeah.
Good, 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 very, very nice.
Thank you.
Are my glasses good? Thank you.
And so we did the same thing for parks and facilities. Do you want to go to the next slide? And so what came up here in the priorities, I guess we could just go to the next one because it's just.
One more time?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
So same ideas, the programs, and what came up is the frequent park and facility needs were dog park, park maintenance, pickleball courts, playground improvements, restroom improvements, security lighting, splash pad, water play, swimming pool. We put those all together as aquatic recreation, walking paths or trails, and this apparently was the softball fields. It came up a lot in the workshops. And then some of the other things that came up that are also identified needs were modernize and upgrade park amenities, more sports fields, open space, green and trees, outdoor exercise stations, picnic areas and benches, Ridge Rider equestrian park improvements, skate park improvements, add parking at parks, baseball fields, basketball court improvements, community event or venue space, drinking fountain repairs, increase access or hours open to the sportsplex, revitalize underused facilities, shade, and soccer field. And so in each of the workshops, these are the top things that rose to the list. In every outreach event we had, we marked down the things that rose to the list, and then these were all the commonalities throughout all the outreach, which led us to come up with our key strategies and recommendations. And we have 3 key strategies for the plan, and these are just overarching. The key strategies are to maintain and modernize the existing park system, enhance safety, cleanliness, and reliability through improved maintenance practices, upgraded restrooms, lighting, as well as the restoration and repair of core amenities. Key strategy 2 is to expand and upgrade recreation amenities citywide by delivering high-demand facilities, including dog parks, pickleball courts, playgrounds, walking paths, splash pad, and sports fields to ensure equitable access across neighborhoods. And key strategy 3 is to enrich community life through programs, events, and wellness, strengthening youth, senior, fitness, and recreation programming while activating parks with concerts, cultural events, farmers markets, and seasonal celebrations. And then we go a little bit further from the key strategy to goals, and under each key strategy are the goals, and the goals relate to the community needs, the high community needs that we heard. And so first we have park maintenance, and this isn't just increased maintenance. This is strategically planning for repairs and replacements. And some of our recommendations were to add personnel to oversee contractual maintenance, develop a plan to address deferred maintenance projects, implement a computerized maintenance management system, CMMS, and develop an asset lifestyle management program. Sounds very complicated, but it's creating an inventory of all your assets and when they came online, and then you go start planning for replacements. Say this playground's 20 years old, it's gonna need replacement. This one's only 5, we could wait on that one. That's kind of the asset management and life cycle management. Restroom improvements. Again, we're create a maintenance schedule to track restroom maintenance and supply fulfillment. Parks with high visitation should have increased restroom cleaning operations and restroom facilities to be supplied before and after large community events were just some of the recommendations on management. And security lighting, we heard that, you know, to keep the parks safe, to not have dark spaces in the parks. Our recommendations and goals are to repair and replace broken lighting fixtures, review park lighting and install pedestrian security lighting to eliminate dark areas within parks. And then the next key strategy was the newer amenities, expanding or renovating amenities such as the dog park. We recommend installing pet waste stations at parks with walking loops. Proceed with the Del Norte park improvements, including the dog park improvement project. And in the future, to conduct a needs assessment to see if there's another location for a second dog park down the road. Pickleball courts, our recommendations are to reach the goal is to convert 1 tennis court to 4 dedicated pickleball courts. Continue to monitor the community interest in pickleball, and Monday night, we know that interest is large for Monday night. And maybe consider developing a pickleball tournament event. And playground improvements, again with the life cycle management, develop a playground renovation schedule that considers installation dates and expected equipment lifespan. Develop a cleaning and maintenance program for playgrounds and surfacings. As new playgrounds are introduced, incorporate all-inclusive universal design standards to create equitable play for all users. And the softball field, we recommend improving the softball field support amenities at Cameron and Shadow Oak Park, the bleachers, concessions, restrooms. Make available alternative softball fields for softball tournaments. Continue to review and adjust field allocation schedules, and identify target annual number of maintenance hours and and enforce rest periods for the sports fields. That's really important. For the ball fields, the outfield turf rest. If it's continued play, there's no time for that field to rest, and you're going to have poor quality fields. And the splash pad, water play, and swimming pool, we kind of put those together as aquatic recreation. I know we don't have the money or the land to build a swimming pool, but it's hot here, and we heard that need. So our recommendations are to paint, repair, and replace the splash pad at Del Norte Park. Consider adding another splash pad down the road in the future. And explore the possibility of joint use agreements or partnerships with the Edgewood High School Aquatic Center or nearby cities that also have aquatic centers like Covina.
Last time for me. Commissioner Flowers, one question.
Yeah.
Over the chair.
Sorry, Commissioner Flowers, one thing, I know we talk about pickleball courts, so I know we're getting ready to build 3 pickleball courts at one of our schools. So, probably be a facility use agreement with them or something like that, but it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be at the Hollywood. We don't have 3 pickleball fields. I don't know if you do that or not, maybe you do. But it's something to consider.
The question will be, will it be open to the public?
Yeah, for everything's the price.
How about a pool?
And through the chair, if I may, just to
Yes.
follow up on his comment. So Commissioner Flowers also is a school board member on the West Covina Unified
Okay.
School District Board of Education. And it sounds like unofficially that the board may be open to joint use agreements.
At least one board member.
I'm open to it.
Yes, unofficially.
And he's mentioned the food, but the food is also open too, also, our food's open.
Yes.
Not often.
Yes, it is.
Well, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So,
Commissioner
we used to
Brown.
have an agreement with the school district to use partially with that pool. That deteriorated, well, let's say with recent council members that didn't renew that, from what I understand. I don't know if it was an issue with contract with the school district or what.
It was a number of years ago, the last cracking on that, if you will. So you're right, there was an agreement with the school district for the use of that pool, but the city at one point no longer had a claim to the pool, if you will. So the school district provided the city its interest in the pool, if you will, and we no longer have an interest.
Do we know when that fell apart, what year?
That's prior to me.
Hang on, let's let her finish her
Yeah.
presentation, please.
That's prior to me, but it does sound like through this needs assessment, through the research that RJM and Kristen have done, the community is wanting access to the pool. And I think, you know, all of us, we hear things word of mouth, we hear things from our community members, but to have the statistics and to have the data and have a data-driven process, it does help to re-engage those conversations. And
I agree.
so,
I agree 100% too.
and I think, and that's what I mean by unofficially, I think that the school, I would hope, I think,
Yes, we
that
would.
the school district would be welcome having those conversations again, and bringing them to the table as we lay out these plans, as these plans come to fruition through the Parks and Recreation
I
Master
agree.
Plan. We can re-engage that. I think we can even give them a very similar type of overview that we're doing with you tonight.
Again,
Thank you.
We will do
We're
that.
gonna hold off that conversation until she finishes.
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And the final goal of Key Strategy 2 is the walking paths or trails. And our recommendations were to coordinate with the planning department to ensure all planned street improvements include sidewalks and bike lanes to prevent connectivity to parks and community centers throughout the city, as well as safe routes to schools. Consider developing formal trails in Gulfster Wilderness Park and Heritage Park. I know there are trails there, but to upgrade them, make them safe, and promote. And then maybe down the road, connect city trails to regional trails such as I can't say this, Shawbarham Skyline Multiple Use Trail. If I say it fast, maybe it sounds good. And then the third key strategy is focused on programming and community events. And we all know the community loves those community events, but they want to continue those community events, have vendors and food, music, seasonal events, evening events, movie nights, farmers market. This is what we heard from the community about the events. They like concerts and family events. And our recommendations are develop partnerships with local artists, schools, and cultural organizations for exhibits, art walks, and multicultural events. Engage local businesses and restaurants in sponsorship and participation to strengthen local ties and increase marketing visibility through both digital campaigns and printed recreation guides.
Thank you.
And then just an update on Monday night, we received 29 comments and that night in comment cards and 2 online so far.
Now for sure you can read this.
All of the comments received, we were happy that they were still within the recommendations already. So that was very validating to know that we got that. And then there were a couple new policy comments about funding, finding alternative funding strategies and partnerships to fulfill some of the service gaps.
Can I ask what that is in the yellow, because I cannot read it?
Yes, so the yellow, I know that's just, so this is the sheet that I handed out to you guys. And the yellow is just showing that these things were on here.
Okay.
Park maintenance, pickleball, picnic area benches, playgrounds. So it's just
Thank you.
kind of highlighting that they were on our list of recommendations. No problem. And I think the big picture is really just to expand recreation opportunities as funding is available while prioritizing the deferred maintenance, repairs, and renovation to existing parks. And then we have the phase 1 recommendations that Roxanne's going to go over.
Thank you. Real quick, so before I jump into some of the phase 1 recommendations, and just recognize these are recommendations. But before I get into that, we are still collecting input, and so we plan to close that final round of input on the 18th, which is of this month. And this will help us to finish up with our report or our draft proposal to the city council. We really wanted to give the community just that one more opportunity to provide input. Again, if you scan that QR code or you visit the Parks and Recreation Master Plan website, you can kind of follow along in the journey, if you will, the different workshops, the strategies, the recommendations. We really tried to drive people towards that website, so we will be doing some additional pushes online so that we can collect that data. One of the things I also want to point out when it comes to a Parks and Recreation Master Plan is that it is a guiding tool. So we're not just looking at this year. We're looking at working forward 10 years down the road. And so this is going to be an ongoing conversation, an ongoing project with the commissioners, with the city council, and bringing each phase to the city council and then before the commission for approval. So I just wanted to say that before we get into some of the phase 1 recommendations. And again, they're recommendations. I have a couple things to add. Oh, you want to add? I was thinking.
I have a question for my commissioners. How many of you attended any of the workshops? So I attended them all, Charlie did. I attended them all but Mondays. And they were very informative, and it was refreshing to see the turnout, because we don't really get that much interest unless something bad happens. And so when something good happens and we have that interest, it's good. So I appreciate this report and your time to share it. Does any of my commissioners have any questions? Or not my commissioners, I rephrase that, the commissioners. Mr. Bennett.
How often does the park master plan have to be done?
It's 5 to 10 years, so every 10 years usually.
Do we know what since we're always looking 5 or 10 years out based on that, do we know what the recommendations were for 5 or 10 years ago to compare with what the current recommendations are? Because I would think when I plan what I'm going to do to my house for remodeling, I know what I'm doing at some point. I know what I'm not going to do in 5 or 10 years because it's already done, or I'm going to use that information. So I would think that we already have a park master plan done 5 or 10 years ago.
It was further back than 5 or 10 years ago.
But we had something at some point.
We did have something at some point. Because there was such a gap, we just went forward with fresh eyes, taking the needs assessment now, taking the park inventory now. But I hear what you're saying, kind of comparing and contrasting what was in my mind, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, if we use that approach, we go back to that first plan or the last time we did a parks master plan, let's see what we actually carried out and put through and realized and put forward. That's what I'm gathering from what you're saying.
I think you're going down the path that I'm going is, 5 or 10 years ago when this was done or longer, there was clear direction given by residents at that time. I'm fully aware that residents change people move in, people move out, ideas change, philosophies change, there's all kinds of things that happen. But at that stamp in time, to your point, there were a lot of things that we wanted to do. I have the luxury that I served on a commission back
I was about
then.
to ask you that.
So I remember we did the park master plan, at least once or twice while I was on commission back then. And one of the things that I would like to see before I would do anything further here is, like you said, I want to know what we wanted to do, what we accomplished, what we didn't accomplish, and the reason why it wasn't accomplished. Because the vast majority of problems that we have is we can look at this and we go, oh man, it's wonderful. That's awesome. But it all comes down to money, right?
Right.
How are we gonna do this? How's funding gonna happen? And, you know, let's face it, our city is not the best financially set up. So you're in a situation where we can say this looks great and it looks wonderful on Christmas morning to have all kinds of wrapped presents until you open them and there's nothing in the box.
Understood. And one of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to bring forward a plan, bring our community along with this journey and then not carry something forward. And so part of the reason why we're phasing this is because we're phasing this with identified funding, with funding opportunities that we know, and that's why I have phase one, they're the recommendations, if you will, for phase one with me this evening. They will ultimately go to council next week, but we are interested in your feedback. This is where we see, this is how we see it lining up with the recommendations to the Parks Master Plan. While I can't go back in time, what I can do is I can commit to you, we're coming back to you, and you're about to find out in September, with some strategies for parks designs, because playground designs, because that is one of the recommendations that we have as part of phase one. So we will be making some playground improvements this fiscal year. But what I can also do is provide you with that report. Hey, this is what was recommended however many years ago it was, and this is what actually was carried out. That's what I can do at this moment. And I can also incorporate some of that into the report going to council, the staff report portion going to.
So Roxanne, can you parallel from what was there before to what we need now and draw parallels? So you
I
see-
can do that. I can't do it today, but I can absolutely
Why
do that.
not?
I can.
They told me you were incredible.
I know. I'm
She
just
took her
Roxanne.
cape off.
I'm just
Okay.
Roxanne. But yes,
Thank you.
yes, we can absolutely do that. We can absolutely do that.
Commissioner Flowers?
Mr. Flowers here. I like this, what I just seen. So thank you for what you're doing, and, you know, and I love that we're receiving and valuing it. But also, as far as the school district is concerned, I would love to be maybe a focal point, or we can reach out to try to make sure that we can work with the city and work hand in hand with, make sure that the city involved in use facilities of our pool for a free price, especially swimming. So I know it can be done. I thought we was doing it, but I didn't know. But I know it's open to the public for swimming. And you can use it.
But something the city could,
I think what it, and if I may through the
Yes.
trail, if I may, the feedback that I've heard, and I could be mistaken, but to my knowledge, the feedback that I've heard is it is available to the public, but it's available to the public through taking these classes or registering for these classes that are
No.
held.
Occasionally, they have free swim.
They have to-
Yeah,
Occasionally.
occasionally, but it's.
Not consistently like we used to have.
Okay.
Oh, and we
Okay.
appreciate the partnership with the school district, but if there is a way, because our residents are your students and your family, and we're servicing the same population. And if we can just
Work
come up with
together.
a way so that the access really meets everyone's needs.
All right. And last thing for me, thank you for, I didn't know all this, but thank you for, I'm gonna get some clarification on this,
Yeah,
and I will bring it back to
absolutely.
you.
So, long ago, the pool was open to all the children in West Covina for a small fee, a few
It still
dollars.
looks like swamp, still looks like
And the city didn't have to pay the school district. It was the children that went and swam for $2 or $1.50 or whatever the fee was, but it was very, very minimal. There wasn't a super charge between the city and the school district.
I will bring a report back.
Thank you.
And to kind of go on top of that, if you don't mind,
Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Bennett, what would you like to say?
Covina Plunge does the same thing, like there's a swimming pool in the Covina Park up in the city of Covina, and the same thing, where they charged a few dollars, or did, I don't know if it's, I think it's still open, but that was for years. Same similar type scenario where they have a public window where you could pay to swim.
I kind of
Call
think it
that.
changed when they renovated the pool.
Well, when we took over the pool from the city, kind of like the district, kind of, well, I'll bring a report.
Commissioner Bennett, you have
So-
another question?
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is I think, my personal opinion based on this, I think before we would recommend anything to the council as a commission, because I think that's what we're looking at here, is any recommendations or whatever it may be. I think we give recommendation to the city that we hear the previous report, comparison to what the previous master plan was. Listen to that, see what the parallels are, as you pointed out, Madam Chair, and then at that point, once we have that, then we make a recommendation to the council.
If I understood you correctly, that's exactly what you plan on doing.
Well, I have some recommendations for you tonight, and that's what I meant by I can't draw those parallels for you tonight. So I think we do have some recommendations. We have funding available for these recommendations.
Okay.
And we want to share these recommendations with you tonight.
Please do.
And actually, if we could go off of, unless you want me to pull it there, I think it might be easier. I think most of you were.
Whatever.
Yeah,
you can do.
I think most of you were going off.
If it's tiny print, it's better up there.
No, it's not too bad. Oh, let's do the commission first.
I have, Commissioner Munoz has a question?
Yeah, go ahead. So, the question I have is with regards to dovetailing on what Commissioner Bennett expressed, having served on the commission before, and having done many walkthroughs with previous, public service, or public works staff, and having done, inspections of some of our, items that are addressed here, I think it's really important for us to see that what was recommended at one time and where we've been. I see the dog park is here, and I volunteered many, many times over at the Del Norte area to fill the potholes and try to make that area, put a Band-Aid on it so that the community can use it safely. So I'm really excited for what I'm reading. I was not able to attend the meetings, the planning meetings, in which I would have loved to have been there. But I'm excited to share with my family and everyone that we still have an opportunity to make comments. I will just make one more comment. I used Haven City the other day, and you know, it's a restaurant, Haven City, but there's a running club that meets there. And so our group met in the garden area at Haven City, and we ran through Glendora, down Merced to Edgewood, not to use the pool, but to use the track, and then we ran back. The streets there could use a little bit of improvement. I know somebody had said, why are you running in the street? But that would be an excellent partnership with the business to kind of open it up a little bit more to make it safer to run from a business environment to the street than to the track. Anyway, just making a comment about it, that I'm excited to make
It sounds like a fun group.
It was fun.
Look at it then.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, well, you know, you're safe, and then you're not safe because you're in the street, and then you're safe again when you go to the track, and then you have to come back, and so, but it's fun, it was fun.
Thank you, Commissioner Munoz.
So we'll jump into this again. These are some initial recommendations that we have, you know, that we're confident as far as the funding is concerned, projects that we think that we can bring before the commissioner. Sorry, I can't do the comparison today, but I can most definitely, as these projects come forward to the commission, I can do the snapshot back in time and say how that compares and contrasts if the commission is agreeable to that. So just a quick overview of phase one recommendations. So some of the phase one focuses on delivering meaningful improvements across Orangewood, Gloucester, Woodgrove, Gingrich, Del Norte, and other parks throughout the city. The phase prioritizes upgrading aging facilities, improving ADA accessibility, and expanding recreational opportunity for all residents. Key activities are scheduled to occur immediately, including input sessions with the Community and Senior Services Commission. And when I use the word immediate, I use the word immediate in a government sense, so September, which is when you guys come back to meet again for the commission. So that is what I mean by immediate. With the exception of a project that we actually do have agendized for the next city council meeting for a draft RFP for the dog park. And so what has been our recent practice here in the city of West Covina is we bring our RFPs to the council before it goes out to gain feedback, to ensure that the scope and to ensure that the benchmarks are the recommendations that the staff has for the scopes and for the benchmarks, the council is aware, and that if council needs to provide input, that they can for the draft RFP at that time. We do the draft RFP. Once it's approved by the council, we then send it out to the city. We then send it out in order to solicit potential contractors. And then after it goes through the review process, the assessment process, the interviews for RFP, then we come back to council with the recommendations to award. So I don't want to confuse you what the draft RFP purpose is, but that is how we have been handling it recently. So again, that is scheduled to come back or to come before the council on the 18th. So it's a little sooner in the immediate timeline, but I wanted to point that out. So if we go on to phase one recommendation, measure A projects, some of these projects will also include monies from other areas that I did want to provide you with those projects that are going to be utilizing measure A funds. You'll see across the phases that sometimes we repeat projects, but that's because they have multiple funding sources that come with it. So playgrounds at Orangewood Park, Gloucester Park, Woodgrove Park, and California Parkette to be funded by Measure A funding. Orangewood Park is going to have a playground enhancement, if you will, to really be a centerpiece for inclusive play. So we're not just utilizing or recommending, I shouldn't say utilizing, but recommending that we utilize Orangewood Parks for or Measure A for Orangewood Parks. We do have other funding sources that are identified, because we're looking at, again, having that inclusive ADA, a really premier spot that will attract individuals to come and play at that particular location. Gloucester, Woodgrove, California Parkette, and then Shadow Oak Park also is utilizing Measure A funding. Measure A funding at Shadow Oak Park, we're identifying for the sports courts. So I know that there are basketball courts, tennis courts that need some repairs, as well as some workout equipment. Again, this is phase one. There will be additional enhancements to Shadow Oak Park space over different phases, but that's what we're identifying for our recommendation to identify for phase one. Recommendations for Del Norte and Friendship Park. I mentioned about the going out to bid. So if this draft RFP is approved by the city council, we look forward to posting that draft RFP immediately. Obviously, if there's some minor changes, we'll go ahead and make that. But if it doesn't require us to go, the draft RFP to go back out to the council, it will be posted shortly after the council meeting. Splash pad improvements of the project starting, and then we talk about the different funding sources and for enhancements at Del Norte Park. Friendship Park, walkway, bathroom, sewer, and water line realignment. We do have scheduled for a demolition of the snack bar, parking lot resurfacing, lighting, ADA upgrades. We're actually anticipating going out to bid next week, and we do identify for the restrooms, so we do identify the funding sources for that. Gingrich Park, recommendations for Gingrich Park upgrades. This particular park is in need of, well, all of our parks are in need, but this particular park is definitely in need of an upgrade. And so we're really highlighting this park as well through phase one. We do have some additional funding here. We do have some funding earmarked through our maintenance district, approximately $3 million. That again, this is a recommendation that we're making. The scope of work includes sports courts, upgrades, and pickleball court, new playground equipment, bathroom innovation, lighting improvements, walking pathways and enhancements throughout the park, ADA accessibility improvements, and understanding that, again, we're assuming that this recommendation will be adopted eventually. We would like to begin community outreach on that process in October. Palmview Park, concrete and pathway improvements, bathroom facility upgrades, ball field lighting, and installation at Palmview Park. We do have money in our PDF that's earmarked for Palmview Park, and really leveraging that funding in the PDF for that particular park space. When we talk about the PDF and we talk about funding available, we're really looking at funding that can be utilized for this specific purpose. Cameron Park, we talk about green space enhancements, girls softball field improvements, pickleball court. One of the recommendations that we've received is a digital sign. Cameron is on a major thoroughfare here in the city of West Covina. Being able to advertise and to promote is also at that park. We recognize could be beneficial as far as getting the word out. So there is a recommendation for digital signs, like those digital marquees we have one out here in front of the Civic Center, Senior Center. So it would be similar to that, and then playground improvements and ADA enhancements. Real quick before we move on, one of the I'm going to call it a side quest that I've been going on in recent weeks is that I've been working with a group of parents with children with special needs. That particular group is called Boundless, and we have been touring city parks. They have been actually really enlightening, because while we do our best to meet those ADA requirements, to follow the laws, and really have that inclusive play, it makes it challenging when we're not necessarily the consumers. So understanding what ADA accessibility means from the consumer standpoint, because of who are consumers are children and also their caregivers, and being able to look at playground improvements and park amenities through that lens and what will best fit their needs has been tremendously enlightening. Opportunities and fixtures and amenities that are currently identified at ADA, we could do just a little bit better. And we can, like I said, I've just learned so much from this particular group. We're actually going to have them come in and present to you some of their findings in September, which is going to really correlate nicely with your tasks at hand for improving playground design. So like I said, we've been touring the city parks, we've been meeting on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, kind of depends on everyone's schedule, but I'm excited to bring that information forward to you in September. It's been a truly educational opportunity for me. And I hope it will be for the commission as well. But we're also going to, this was some of the feedback that I received one-on-one at the workshop Monday night when we were talking about the pickleball courts. There's his name is Kevin. I don't know Kevin's last name. Kevin and Cummins. Okay, Kevin and Cummins are really big at the pickleball scene at Cameron. And they were sharing with me, and I believe it was, I'm going to say it was San Dimas, that they had recently installed a pickleball court. And the way that that court is oriented, it's oriented east to west. And that's problematic. You're nodding your head. And that's problematic depending on the time of day. And what happens is, okay, this is one of those unintended consequences of our actions, because probably no one took into account what the consumer needed, what the users needed. So understanding that we're doing the ADA aspect with the consumer, we're gonna be doing the same thing for the other amenities and the other park improvements. We really want to be able to do our homework and really have the data that is needed and the input that is needed to make sure that the investments that we're making make sense and are being utilized, or that will be utilized.
So for me, looking at this, it has to make sense and not waste dollars.
Correct.
That's really, in getting it out of design and into production. You're gonna put an RFP out and you have a budget of 1.3 million, and when those RFPs come back over budget, how are we gonna manage that? And what's gonna be cut, because there won't be more funds, so we have to really narrow down the RFP and make it right.
Correct.
And so the city council will approve it. I've seen too many RFPs, they go wayside really fast.
And we don't want the, correct, and we don't want it just to be, and that was a great analogy, it's Christmas morning and your box is empty. Or it's Christmas morning and there's no batteries, you don't have the batteries for your toy. Yeah, and we don't want that to happen, and I think that that's an excellent point. So really honing in on the scope, utilizing our subject matter experts, and honestly, when it comes to the design of the playgrounds or some of these other parks amenities, sharing that scope with the commission before we move forward to council. So being able to have that feedback and go in that back
We
and
waited
forth.
a long time for the dog park.
Yeah. That's why it's
7 years.
I know. I hear you.
To see it here in print is exciting, but I want to see it to come to fruition.
Yes, I do too. I do too. And I do too.
Commissioners, anyone have anything? Not you.
Oh my gosh.
She told you not to.
I feel like I'm at home.
Hang on.
I feel like I'm at home.
And what I don't want to happen, okay, there's still some other opportunities for phase one. So we're trying to not wait, but we're still collecting data, we're still collecting feedback. We want to be really confident in some of these recommendations that we have moving forward. But these are the recommendations that we have today.
The example
And-
you gave about the pickleball court in San Dimas, that's just poor management. It's a waste of money and poor management. And it's frustrating for everybody.
For everyone, absolutely.
Takes away usable hours.
Okay, Commissioner Bennett, what would you like to say?
So a couple things. When it comes to an RFP, the council's gonna approve that. My biggest concern is we're gonna get an RFP and they're gonna come back over budget and they're gonna approve budget amendments.
That's
It's not gonna count it, right? It's exactly what you're saying. And unfortunately, we have a history in our city of going well above budgets and well above RFPs, and it seems like there is no money management, to your point. We don't control the money, I get that. So I believe there's some actual recommendations that were done for Del Norte Parks and current drawings.
Correct.
And have we seen those? Is there an option for us to see those? Because there was some
Absolutely.
drawings
Yep, absolutely.
done, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and those will absolutely be shared with the commission, absolutely. There are renderings, there are drawings, and we do have some, I want to phrase this very carefully, not with not being transparent, I just don't want to mislead anyone. We do have estimates that, and this is before an RFP process, we do have estimates, and so we're taking very careful looks at those estimates as we're developing these program budgets, or excuse me, these
Current estimate?
yes, current
Okay.
estimates. As we're
Not from 10 years ago?
no,
Okay.
as we're developing and making these recommendations. So again, I want to phrase it very carefully. They're not bids, they're estimates, and
Or
we're
guesstimates.
and we're really looking at those. I hear what you're saying. We need to be fiscally responsible. I hear what you're saying. We have so much money that we can spend, and we cannot go beyond that. We have to be responsible stewards of the public's trust and the public's treasure. So I hear what you're saying, and we will put up the guardrails best to our ability, and we will be transparent through the process. So you will get to see those renderings. Part of those renderings will be included with the city council report on Tuesday night, and we will bring those things, I'm going to call them renderings, to the council, or excuse me, to the commission in September.
Outside of the RFPs going on the 18th, what else is the council being presented with?
They're going to be presented with additional data, and we're going to drill down a little bit further. The council presentation is much lengthier for
the details of each of the community outreach, not just the screenshot, and then
the details of the multimodal, some further recommendations, and that's the other thing I want to point out to you too. This is a collaborative process. We have the needs assessment. We have the data that's come back to us. But we're going to be, after phase 1, we're going to be coming back to you with data-driven listing out recommendations so that the commission can make official recommendations moving forward too. We really wanted to be able to say to you, okay, we've done some work on our end, we want to present you with these options, but the next phase is really looking at, really leaning into the commission for those recommendations. The other part of that too, as we get further out, we're going to have to be honest. We're going to say that there isn't funding when there is a recommendation that is made, or we identify something as a need or a community want or a high priority. We're going to have those difficult conversations, and we're also going to do our part in identifying grant funding opportunities. But that means we have to actually apply for them. We can't just put it on paper. We can't just say we're going to do this on such and such a date. We're going to actually have to apply for them and sharing that progress with you. I'm so sorry.
Do we have a grant writer?
We don't have an official grant writer. We do have staff members
that are good grant writers.
But yes, we'll come up with some recommendations for that too. I don't want to put too much out there.
There's, in this report, and thank you for it, there's pie in the sky. There's no reality that we can get all of this stuff. And so the recommendations from all groups are going to have to play and put it in a hopper and pull out the top priorities. And for us, for those of us who've been waiting for a long time, that dog park is a priority. Is it torn down now, or is it still a fence?
It's still a fence.
Okay.
It's still a fence. And we do have funding for that.
Yes.
And that's part of the reason why we took this approach with this first phase. These are the items, these are the amended, these are the improvements we're recommending that we do have funding for now, that we can, we recommend moving forward with. We recommend collaborating on. But phase 2, we'll have those discussions. Phase 3, we'll have those discussions. And keep you on that journey with us.
Thank you.
So
Commissioner Bennett has another question.
It'd be my last one. So is the council approving the master plan, or are they just approving some RFPs on the 18th?
No, the master plan will be on the agenda.
So they can approve it even without a recommendation?
No, there are recommendations, and we will have the recommendations for phase 1. So a master plan is not just, okay, we're going to do this in this park. One of the key components to it is that there's a needs assessment. It's the data. It's what allows us to go out and be competitive for grants. It's to say, hey, this is what the community asked for. I didn't mean hey in a disrespectful sense, but this is what the community asked. This is what the community is asking for. My goal is every project that we bring forward, every phase that's approved by the council, that we're going to point back to the master plan, and then adding that additional element of, comparing and contrasting where we were in the previous master plans to really tell that story and give a full picture of what we're doing.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have an architect to make the drawings for the improvement of the park?
And that would be part of the process. That would be part of the process. I'm sorry?
Very similar to maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, when there was options being provided to the commission in regards to playground upgrades. would be something similar that would come back at the September meeting. So that would be part of that from every company that would come forward and provide you with sample renderings. If that answers your question.
Sure.
And we do have some sample renderings, we did discuss that earlier. Not every project has sample renderings yet, or has renderings yet, but I can tell you that Orangewood Park, we have sample renderings for. I can tell you that Del Norte, we have sample renderings for. So those will be shared with you. But not everything, not every park, not every facility, not every project has that yet. Remember, we're looking at 10 years, and we're also looking at input from the commission based on the data from the Parks Master Plan. I know, like I said, you asked the question, and yes, there are renderings, and we will be sharing the renderings that we currently have with the commission, with the council.
Would you also have grants coming in?
Didn't say that.
So we will be identifying grant opportunities, and that was part of the conversation, identifying those grant opportunities, and working with the commission, because we do have to be realistic when we apply for grants. It will take, in the absence of an official grant writer, we will be relying on city staff to play that role. There are some of us that do have that experience, but not everyone does, and that's just the nature of the beast.
But the outreach from the master plan will be able to help with the grants, because a lot of the grants require that you have so many community meetings.
Yeah.
And so our community meetings and what we identified would go into the
It would
grant
suffice.
application.
Commissioner Ramirez, good question?
It's not a question, but it's a comment. So with the public input that looks like it's moving, has there been consultation with the police department and the fire department? Because oftentimes they do have to respond to the parks. And having been at most of our parks, depending on traffic or activity or all that, it does appear that it makes it a little difficult sometimes for emergency vehicles or first responders to tend to situations. So anyway, I would just make that recommendation that their input be.
Oh, absolutely. And beyond the security scope is what I'm hearing from you.
And in addition with security
Yes,
issue too.
yeah. In addition to that, yes, that would be the more appropriate way to phrase that, yes, there would. And even with, we were talking a little bit about the maintenance piece. I know that Kristen and RJM, they sat down with Mike. You guys had your meetings with Mike, went through the current operating procedures and what is currently happening at the park. So the recommendations and the development of maintenance plans, they're not just, okay, we just recommend this. It really did come from, okay, talking to the staff, talking about the budget, talking about what can work, what is working out, and what's not working out. So I know you've had several conversations with Public Works for those purposes. So it's not just parks, it's gonna be programs, it's gonna be maintenance standards. It's going to be, it's a lot bigger than just, while a playground is important, play goes beyond that, and the elements of play are not just going down the line. So we do recognize that.
Question.
Yes.
Are you the one that's going to lead this adventure? Who's the point of contact?
Right now I am. Right now I am.
Are you
If
gonna
that,
pass it off?
if that is the direction to continue, I'll continue. Right now, my direction is to complete the
This
plan.
task.
Yes, and to get you guys started with phase one. If the direction is to continue, I'll continue.
Because like if any good business, if you change leaders in the middle of the course, everything falls off. And the direction changes and money is lost.
So, sort of my approach with things too is, as far as managing projects like this, is that you have 3 other ears here. You have 3 other ears here. And they're here and they're taking in, they're gonna be, hold on. They're gonna be part of the process and part of the input. And they're going to help facilitate these meetings because they're here, right? And bringing them along for the journey. Again, right now my direction is this. We'll see the direction moving forward. I'm happy to do it. I'll just put it that, okay, that's what you're looking for. I don't have an issue doing it, and I'm directed to do so, I'm happy to do it.
I just know when leadership changes, everything changes. And money gets lost, and then it falls through the cracks. Yes.
Based on Chairman Fisher's comments, and having worked for city and county, your plan as it stands is, I like it so far, but your plan actually should sustain all of us. So once it's approved, and I'm happy to do my part as a community member, as a commissioner in our role here, to make it withstand that storm that comes when there is a change in leadership. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
I have a motion. I would like to make a motion that we recommend to the council not to approve the master plan until we see the one plan before, and that we allow the comparisons to be done. I don't think we should stop the RFP process, but I don't think they should approve the plan. So I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the council not to approve it on the 18th at this time.
I understand what you're saying, Steve, but to me, I think we should just say this is phase one. I think we should just go on and see that does approve phase one, and she'll come back to us. So I think we should just approve this phase one phase of it, and then she'll come back to us and bring phase two back. So this is my position. If we approve it, then we wait till phase two come out.
Is there any other discussion?
I didn't know we were supposed to vote on it, on the plan today. Is that what we're supposed to do?
Right, there's two motions.
There is a
Well,
motion.
there is a receive and file, but it's also to give direction.
Yeah.
So there is a motion, if anyone wants to second it.
There's two motions. So I have two motions right now. I have a motion that we hold off, and I have a motion we approve phase one and then wait for further direction. Do I have anybody that wants to second either of those
I'll
motions?
second Steve's motion.
That one goes first. The second, since he made it after. I think
Called the
he
substitute
goes-
motion.
The substitute goes first.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, he made it first.
So if he has a motion, we wait for a second on it.
Okay, do we have anybody that wants to second?
I'll second.
I second
Commissioner Fly.
the approval.
You want a second? Okay.
So can you repeat what the motion is?
I make a motion that we approve first phase of what was brought forward for the,
Recording council.
yes, report to the council, we approve the first phase, and she'll bring back the second phase to us next September. So that's my motion.
Do I have a second motion?
Well, you have to do a vote based on her second or his
Okay,
second.
you're seconding it? Yeah. All of those in favor?
Aye.
All of those opposed?
Aye.
Did you vote?
We didn't hear.
Rick Flowers?
The motion carried for Michael Flowers.
If you voted yes, 5-2.
Yes, I voted yes.
5-2.
So we'll move the motion and move forward.
Okay. We appreciate the direction. I hear your comments, and like I said, we will, moving forward, and I'll do something with this one too, to show the comparing and contrasting with the last one. So give my word, I can make that commitment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Archana.
Yeah.
Continued business. Is there any continued business?
Well, I think Cecilia Munoz, Commissioner Munoz has some bikes.
I'm sorry?
The bikes, I don't think her.
Yes,
her-
I see the bikes, they were agendized,
The e-bikes.
the e-bikes. We're gonna put it on the agenda next, in September.
So, in September, we are coming back with additional information in regards to phase one. So depending on how heavy that is, we may have to bring that back to you in October.
Okay, can we get it on the agenda at least? And then
Yes.
if we don't have time, we can.
Absolutely.
And then, is there anything else to be agendized?
This is continued business,
It'd be new business,
new business.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that in September, by the way, that Mike's saying. I think we need to
Yeah,
act on that.
we
soon.
keep putting it off.
Yeah. So, also, we mentioned too to put those on the bottom, so.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
We still have to go through ad hoc committee reports, commissioner reports, and then items on the agenda.
Okay. So, do we have any ad hoc committee reports? I don't think
Commissioner Munoz, none.
so. Flowers? Do you have anything? Ken?
No.
No, thank you. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Bennett.
I've been to a ton of events. I don't want to list them all, but it's been good to be part of the community out there doing stuff. So, thank you.
Commissioner Diaz?
Just been to a couple of events, but just want to announce that our West Covina pony 1482 made it to the World Series.
Yep.
However, their time got cut short because of the weather, so they didn't make it to, they didn't get to play their, play to the finals, but
Because of the weather?
because of the weather.
Field conditions.
Field conditions.
What was that?
Yeah, it's somewhat controversial, but it is what it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They paid for
Yeah,
them.
they did. So, just want to make that.
Thank you. Commissioner Chavez?
I don't have anything. Well, I can thank Roxanne for the great report she put together, and
Team.
got the staff there, and it's very well presented. And the reason that I voted against, the phase is because I'm worried about the monies area and the change of the staff too, so that was my reason for it, not a.
I don't anticipate changing the staff, like I said. I'm happy to continue on with it, just gonna just be the directions.
Thank you.
Oh,
Commissioner Munoz, do you have anything?
At this time, no.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Flowers?
Commissioner Flowers. I just want to say one thing. September 22nd, I would like to invite you all to our grand opening of our brand new facility. As you go down camera and you see us performing Arts Center, September 22nd. So,
You never perform?
but
Get 'em singing.
But our choir got invited to Carnegie Hall to sing.
Wow.
And, they get invited back to Carnegie Hall. And so we have a lot of students that came in to be a part of our choir, more than we ever had. So yeah, and what's been 45 students, freshman students, along with, other 3 classes. So it's a big class.
That's nice.
Yes. They're going to New York twice this year. So September 22nd.
The concerts in the park, you guys didn't attend, you missed something fabulous. Steve was there for
A couple of them.
a couple of them. The last concert was the big hooray, and it was standing room only. It was fabulous.
Just love it.
It was a lot of fun. Staff worked hard. It was apparent. The only complaint I had was the pizza man was gone too soon. But it was, I feel like my residents and my community got lucky, so thank you for your work in that. I don't know, I feel like I've been all over the city doing everything, but the concerts in the park stood out to me. So, thank you. Touch a Truck was great. I was a huge proponent against it. I think that the police need to go out to the neighborhoods like they used to. But this kind of changed my mind a little bit. I liked it, the community was there, they were there in force. I'm still not 100% convinced that they don't need to go out to the community, but they did come and they did spend quality time with my residents at Merrill, so I'm happy with that. But the truck, the Touch a Truck was a great event, so thank you for that as well.
Could one thing say, could the, most of the people came out, I wish the council and everybody, when they give it, or we can push everything in or bring everything out, because when you go inside, when they start,
The
it's
stage.
dead inside.
Yeah, the stage.
It's dead, it's
That
dead.
has been noted.
Okay, thank you.
We got you. We got you.
Anything else?
I'm sorry.
Madam
Upcoming,
Chair,
sir?
maybe if I would recommend that if you could ask staff to provide information about upcoming grand opening events.
I'm getting to that, sir.
Great.
Upcoming events, they're listed on our agenda.
Are we on items to be agendized, or are we on
Yes.
upcoming events?
Upcoming,
So items to be agendized, the very
it's not on my
top.
list here.
On the very top, yeah.
Where am I missing it? Oh, there it is. Thank you. I'm going, where, it's on the, okay. Items to be agendized, the e-bikes. What else?
This commission used to oversee the West Covina app and all the reporting that went with that. I don't know when the last time this commission has done that, but I'd like to see that report.
You'd like to, just an update and a report out on the
Yeah,
West Covina app?
on the number of calls for each
Statistics.
one, statistics, everything. We used to do that years ago, and I can't find anywhere that we've done that in
So
recent years.
statistics relating to community services.
Whatever the app
facilities,
reports.
Parks, okay. Related to
Thanks,
communities,
that's-
related to community services.
I just think there's an area there that we need to look at since it's community stuff.
Was there anything else that we wanted to be agendized for? I have two comments that I want to make before we adjourn. So, upcoming events.
Listening.
Yes. Friday, August 21st is movie night, The Monsters, University at Cameron Community Center. Saturday, the 22nd, is a pet clinic. Friday, September 4th, is the Historical Society meet and greet. Well, that's what I went to too. I went to the Historical Society.
You presented.
Yeah, you presented.
Yeah, I presented. I was just there. It was hot, man. My brain fried. Yeah, thank you for that. Everything was great. A couple of comments. I've had conversation with our city manager about commissioners being invited to ribbon cuttings. He informed me and the city council all received an email that in order for us to be invited, our city council that nominated us or appointed us has to personally invite us. I've got back and forth on it. I don't know what's accurate, but if you want to be invited, you need to talk to the person that appointed you, apparently.
Are you ready, Sherry?
Well, then I will say, I was invited for Saturday by our councilman,
Fagioli.
yes.
So
The only one that has ever responded.
he did respond.
I've been on the commission off and on for years. I've mentioned it. That is the craziest, forgive me, dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard that before in this city as serving multiple years, a decade, give or take, in this city, and that is the dumbest thing. Sorry, I had to say it.
Things have changed, Steve.
Unfortunately, yes, but not in a good way for that one. We should be automatically be invited, we're commissioners, and it should be up to us if we show up. It shouldn't be required of our city council member. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, can I say something?
Yes.
I want to invite everyone on Thursday, August 20th at 11 a.m. for the grand opening of O'Reilly Auto Parts on 1000 West Covina Parkway, Suite B by Panera, I think it's not, by Panera Bread, right?
And if I may add, you should have also, if we receive information from community development, economic development, to share information with you all in regards to grand openings, Stephanie did send an email to all of you.
Yes.
She's been sending those
Okay.
out, so
Yes.
as those become available to Stephanie, she will continue to email those out to the entire commission.
So there's two,
Okay,
right
yes.
now that I'm aware of. The 15th, there's the grocery warehouse at 11 o'clock,
That's
or
Saturday.
no, Saturday. And there, I think it's 11. I am out of town.
That's the
And
70th
then on the-
anniversary thing, right?
What's that?
80th.
That's the 70th or something like that, number, what is it, year?
80th.
80th, there you
Yes.
go.
And then on the 20th, it's the O'Reilly that,
Mhm.
city councilman just.
So as we receive information, we're
I
ensuring to
just
share that.
received that from Stephanie.
Yes, so we appreciate that. And if you guys can make it to these events, it makes our city stronger
Absolutely.
when we show up in a force. And it shows support for everybody, not just some people. So attend, come, and participate. And then, is it possible to get a little update on the little swap box? That the.
Oh, the library box
Yes,
thing?
Yes.
We can absolutely bring, since it's not on the agenda,
Okay,
we
you
will
agenda
bring
that.
that back to, the meeting in September.
Yeah, we just want an update.
Do you know if one's been installed, just simple yes or no?
It has not yet.
While it's off the agenda, I passed by there the other day. I was gonna drop off trees.
Okay, so you'll make sure that is on there. Okay, Commissioner?
I just have one comment, Mrs. Flowers. I invite you, we have, West Covina having the Summer Fest, August
Thank you.
29th. We're honored in, our preservation award winners, of course, he's passed on, bless his heart. William McIntyre, Andy McIntyre father, so we're gonna give him the preservation award. And we also have the Citizen of the Year award.
One's a Kiwanian surprise.
One's a Rotarian, one's Kiwanian. Yeah, another one. So we got three that we have picked, so, you know, all the tickets are $65, and, Bond Street is doing all our catering and everything, so it's gonna be.
It's a great event if you've never been.
It's gonna,
It's
we
a
got
great
we have
event.
a doo-wop band.
It's a doo-wop,
We
so
have
wear
a
your.
doo-wop band, so
50s
bring your
clothes.
dancing shoes.
Is it ever?
It's at Hirsch Prince. That's it. It's August 29th, so you need tickets, let me know. $65. World.
Do we have anything else?
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm ready to go home.
City, do you have anything? Okay. At 9:22 PM, I adjourn the meeting.
Good job, Sheriff.